I think, just for the purpose of this, it would be really interesting. I'm going to dive back into Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural. He talks about the piezoelectric effect. And this is one of many ways in which you can activate the pineal gland. But, again, it is through breathing techniques that you can get there the most natural way. And you can get there quicker, quite frankly, than any medication or any other substance can actually get there. But it does take practice. And what he's saying here is that that there are these tiny crystals. They're approximately 1 to 20 microns in length, and these particular piezoelectric effects into the pineal gland are calcite crystals. And you can only see them as a microscopic, right? They look like they're white. And when those get activated through breath work and through meditation is when all of a sudden the pineal gland gets actually activated. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm just going to read on of what he says here, that the word piezoelectric is a derivative of a Greek word, is paisan, which means to squeeze or press. The piezo means to push. So that's what we were saying earlier, is that really
Wow.
what this is, I know, isn't that cool? Is that it's really meant to like push and activate the pineal gland. So it's no coincidence that he asked people, because I've taken many of his workshops, that when he does the breath work technique with the audience, he actually asks people to hold their breath. And so he says, when I ask you to hold your breath and squeeze those intrinsic muscles. So really, when you go through a breathing technique with him, he asks you to bring the breath up from your diaphragm, or from your abdomen, through your diaphragm, all the way up. So this is a Qigong breathing method, all the way up to the top of your head. And then when you bring it up to the top of your head, you actually hold that breath and you squeeze your intrinsic muscles, right? So that's like in your base, okay? You're squeezing your muscles before you then decide to release that breath. But what is happening when you squeeze your intrinsic muscles is you're actually producing fluid, spinal fluid. You're activating that spinal fluid. So imagine that you're not only working to activate the third eye, right? That's actually pushing and opening and activating, but you're squeezing and pressing those intrinsic muscles that are starting to move from the base up. So what is going to happen when the two, well, that's what he calls the piezoelectric effect. So he says, when you do this, you are pushing the spinal fluid up against the pineal gland, exerting mechanical stress on it. This mechanical stress translates into an electric charge. And this is the exact action that compresses the stacked crystals in the pineal gland and creates a piezoelectric effect. The crystals of the pineal gland generate an electromagnetic or an electric charge in response to the stress you're applying. So when I hear that, and I have had moments, I'm sure you have had, Chris, as well, that he's actually saying on a very tactical level, there's a way in which you can activate these crystals in your pineal gland by not only doing certain deep breathing techniques, holding that breath, and then squeezing your intrinsic muscles, and then slowly decreasing that breath and exhaling that breath. What happens is that there's like an explosion that happens within your mind. And the pineal gland becomes opened fast and quick. And I have had this happen to me many times through my own practice of meditation and breath work, where I want to get to a certain space, if you will, before I relax. So typically it takes about 15 minutes or so for me. When I'm sitting there, I know exactly what to do. I am doing those intrinsic squeezes. And I am also visualizing that all of my chakra points that are aligned with my body itself are opening. So crown, and I can, you can look at it as like a lotus petal, so you just envision a lotus petal opening up all the way here in your crown, your third eye, your throat, your heart, and you go all the way down to your base. And when you open that up and you can feel it actually activate, and then for me, I know that I'm ready to just let go. And I just go back to my normal breathing, and then I just let the source take over, really. What about you, Chris? What has been your experience when you know that you've had kind of this third eye awakening process?
Yeah, that's a great question, Lisa. It's a really interesting feeling. I mean, for me, most recently, it's come from the most frequently with breath work, and specifically exactly what we've been talking about. A lot of holds, holding the breath, squeezing in your pelvic region, or your like the muscles that you use to like hold in your pee or anything like that. Sexual organs, like you pull that in. I think the yogic term is mula bandha, when you hold it in and then hold in a lot of other areas in your body to really push that air up to the top, and like create like a pressure almost to activate your pineal gland. And so having, yes, I've had quite a few experiences just even recently with breath work in that, and it's very, for me, how it kind of comes about is that all thought just dissolves. So, and we think a lot as beings. I know I do. Most of us are usually in constant thought all the time. And so that's an immediate thing to notice, is that thought just dissolves. It's like the mind gets wiped clean, and it's the most beautiful feeling ever to not think. And then I find I get, my vision actually gets a little wonky. I start to see kind of like stars in a way, because I've got kind of a head rush sensation going as well. So things get very tingly, but then I also feel like I'm seeing spark, sort of light sparks that are maybe part of some other aspects of our dimensions here. I don't know if they're in this physical reality all the time. So I'm starting to sort of ask questions. I'm like, how much am I seeing through my third eye versus these physical eyes? Because I start to see a lot of, I don't know how to describe them, but like little bits of energy moving around. And I'm like, I don't think that.
Kaleidoscope.
Thank you. It's a very kaleidoscope, and they look like multicolored. Like I can't say a color. They just look like all kinds of colors, just really quick flying around. And then I try to look and focus. Anyway, so that's usually what happens to me when I do certain breath work, especially, and combine it with sound and music as well. Combining it with certain frequencies as well can help us enhance and bring you to that experience even faster. Binaural beats can be great for that. Anything with 432 hertz tune music can be great for that too. So for me, it's definitely, it's profound, and it's always, if anything, a little addictive, but a healthy addiction, because it's a utter peace. And then it creates so much space. And then I usually just typically get so many ideas and downloads because I've created space.
I think that's the one thing that is the most important for maybe the listener, viewer, is why. Why is it that there is this human phenomenon that now is taking a front and center stage, that more and more people are awakening? And what is it all about? And what's the resistance to it for those who are like, I can't meditate? It's like, well, as we've said many times in this in the podcasts, it's breath work is the foundation. So when we can learn how to breathe, and thanks to wonderful people and authors like Joe Dispenza to kind of break down. I mean, he's very, very scientific in what he's breaking down, but what the discoveries are showing is the incredible profundity that our human body has the capacity to do.